room. Come on in the room. The Bucks are winners in overtime. They needed 5 extra to win it tonight. 133-129 over the Chicago Bulls. Come on in the room. Adrian is our doctor. He writes out all of our scriptures. He gives us all of our medicine in our room. It's a 133-129 victory. The Milwaukee Bucks victorious over the Chicago Bulls in overtime. We are live at the Cream City crossover. I'm the guru, Trey Crosby III.
JT, I can't get it out, man.
Hey, that's stuck in your head, JT.
We just here, man.
I can't. I mean, Trey, because Trey goes full on professor, then goes to preacher, then goes back and forth. I'm just like, and y'all know I got bronchitis. So I can barely breathe anyway.
Yeah, man.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Absolutely, welcome
I'm trying
back.
to maintain right now.
and you certainly are. You maintain like the Bucks had to maintain tonight. They win in overtime, 133-129. We know a lot of you are finishing up watching this Green Bay Packers games. They try to finish it out over the New York Giants, but the Milwaukee Bucks were in action. If you're a Bucks diehard, you know what that's about. You know, you still watch your Packers, but you had to watch the Bucks get it done. You're watching us. If you want to comment on the stream, the YouTube stream, and also at my Twitter at TCIIIESQ as we talk about this and we looked at this game. Again, it was an overtime win. Let's do our reset here. 133-129 in overtime. Damian Lillard with 14 points, 4 boards, 9 assists. Horrible. 3 for 17 shoot. He shot 17% from the field, 2 of 9 from 3, 6 of 7 from the free throw line, and missed one. I think that was in overtime. That was a terrible miss. Or it might have been the fourth quarter. I think it was in the fourth quarter actually. Coming down in the regulation, Damian Lillard missed a free throw. I mean, we'll have to get to Damian Lillard. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 32, 12, and 6, absolutely led this team down the stretch, 9 of 13 from the field. And you know it's a crazy stat? No, well, he's 14 to 18 from the line. 78% will take that. 0 from 3. He didn't attempt a 3 tonight. And that's beautiful basketball. You don't have to shoot threes every night. Excellent job, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Chris Middleton, I mean, if we want to talk about somebody who puts up some interesting stat lines, get this, 13 boards. He leads the Bucks in rebounds tonight, 6 assists. Did have 4 turnovers, so just weird stats. Brook Lopez puts up 19. Malik Beasley with 19 points. Bobby Portis 17 and 7. AJ Green, Derry Bird with 12 and 5. And then on the Chicago side of things, you know it. If the Bucks are playing, you might as well go on Prize Picks. You might as well go on FanDuel. You might as well go on Underdog and bet on the opposing team's players because DeRozan puts up 41-11. Kobe White puts up 33, 6 and 4. Nikola Vucevic 14, 10 and 5. Even Patrick Williams got into action with 15 points. Andre Drummond 9 points, 16 boards. So hopefully you took the over on him as well. A valiant effort from the Chicago Bulls, but they just were not able to get it done over the Milwaukee Bucks. 133-129. We can talk about this in a number of different ways, and you know how this game even got to overtime. I'll start with the start from the Milwaukee Bucks. Excellent. They put up 74 points to start the first half. A great start from the Bucks. They led by 5 at the end of the first. But again, you look at the second quarter, and again, teams are just able to stay with the Milwaukee Bucks. And in the third quarter, Bucks come out a little bit flat. They don't play as well. Fourth quarter down the stretch, you expect the Milwaukee Bucks to do their thing, and they just don't. And again, we can talk about whether that's a Dr. Adrian Griffin problem. We can talk about whether that's a Damian Lillard problem. And Damian Lillard was just not good tonight. The defense of effort was not there as well. When you have DeMar DeRozan going crazy for 41 on you, there were a number of different issues that we got to address and we have to get to. The Bucks are able to pull it out with Giannis just absolutely dominating down the stretch, but. I don't know. This was a night where, and I'll say this, and then I'll let you take it, JT, and we can go let the conversation ride from there. We've talked about it. The Bucks are built right to play okay defense and get you there and get you to the end. And we talked about changing the mindset from a defensive minded team to an offensive minded team. And again, if you just look at the pure numbers, yeah, the Bucks put up 133 points. Great offense in regulation, the offensive rating. Yeah, that's fine. But when your second best player goes 3 for 17, when in the third quarter you put up 17 points, like that's the thing. If we're gonna be okay with not being a defensive team and having some defensive lapses, then my offense has got to be lights out. The score bug has to continue moving at all times. You can't have these lulls, and that's what the Milwaukee Bucks had tonight. I know, JT, we'll talk about it. You take the pretty wins with the gritty wins, but this one doesn't instill a lot of confidence tonight as you go through in the second half of that basketball game. They do get to win 133-129. JT, what'd you say?
Look, I agree with you. This was not a pretty win at all. A couple things that I do want to mention though, right? When we talk about this. So this is a win when I use this phrase, we do things in the aggregate, right? Or the sum of all your moving parts here. There's some good things about tonight, right? Like Bucks had 5 guys. Bucks had 7 guys in double figures tonight. So that's the first thing, right? Salute to that. 7 guys in double figures tonight. Had a lot of guys contributing right now. Dame was underwhelming, right? But keep in mind, like you said, you had your boy Malik Beasley going 5 for 8 from the 3-point line, 0 free throws at all, 19 points. He chipped in. He did his part. We had Dirty Bird, AJ Green going 4 for 5 from the 3-point line, doing his part as well. Brooke obviously did his thing. Did you guys know Giannis, right? So let's talk about this for a second. Giannis and Dame. The Bucks scored 74 points in the first half. You realize that Giannis and Dame combined for a grand total of 16 of those points in the first half, right? So you think about it. Your team was it was the supporting cast that kept this team afloat. Right. And that's something that I want to hear. I mean, Chris only had 8 points at the half. Right. So it really was a supporting cast that kept this team afloat and kept them in position. So that's the positive way, the rose colored glasses here. There are some takeaways. Now, here's the thing. We shot 80% from the free throw line. Great. We shot 50% from the field. Wonderful. We shot 40% from 3. But, man, we got absolutely crushed. Not so much in the battle of the boards. Right. Because in the rebound battle, I think the total numbers were relatively close, right? From the rebound perspective, we were 51-48. They out-rebounded us tonight. But, man, they got 18 offensive board and we got 6. That is not – it's not a good look. And we've talked about the offensive rebounding for the Bucks. We've been damn near dead last. I think, 28th, 27th for the bulk of the season. At some point, I need the doctor to write a prescription for that. We got to solve that issue, sir. We got to solve that issue, Dr. Griffin. And, I'm with you, man. But I don't know if you got a sermon. I don't know if you got an RX. You got a prescription for it. But whatever you got, we need it ASAP because some of this just doesn't feel sustainable.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think going along with that point is just the effort. What we saw versus the Pacers continued tonight. I think when you look at the transition defense, I think it was poor. I think the guarding the 3-point line was awful tonight. And, guys were just late on rotations. And I think that's ultimately why you allowed a guy like Kobe White to put 30 on this Milwaukee Bucks team. And that shouldn't happen as much. But, hey, he's loving playing the Bucks right now this year. So, I think it's just the effort thing. I think it goes back to that. But I was glad they could tighten that up in overtime and ultimately get the win because last overtime game with them did not end the same.
Yeah, the Bucks ultimately obviously were able to finish out and get the win again, 133-129 over the Chicago Bulls. Fruling's Effect says a terrible third quarter. Thank God Giannis woke up in the fourth. And AJ Green, Bobby, and Brooke carried the Bucks hard tonight as the Green Bay Packers scored to take a 22-21 lead over the New York Giants. Wow, that's a great catch and touchdown. I'm sure they'll review, but I think that's going to count. So maybe the Packers are going to win. We're going to talk about them a little bit tonight as well as our look around. But
battling with Tommy DeVito. Go ahead.
Well,
I'm sorry. I just got to throw that out there. Like, listen. Anyway.
DeVito. And he's gonna have a chance to finish this thing out with a buck 30
Oh yeah,
left going down
and
the
he's
field.
gonna take in his mom's basement. That's a later conversation, right? He's
That's
like
all
that in
right.
his mama's
That's all
basement eating
right. That's
chicken
all right.
cutlets. You gonna let the dude living in his mama's basement beat you? Come on.
Well, and we'll see what happens. But we'll see how this wraps up out in New York. But so to the comment, AJ Green, Bobby, and Brooke carried the Bucks hard tonight. Listen, and to some of your point too, John, when you get to the bench, well, not really the bench, but just the other guys that play well. Again, to me, that's the gravity of Giannis. Again, he had 6 assists tonight. Middleton had 6 assists. Damian Lillard had 9 assists. I would bet and imagine that a lot of those came early in the first half. Because again, the passing, I thought the ball. I made a tweet earlier that I thought the passing was great and the ball was just popping around the perimeter. And again, the offense does look good when the shots are going in. But in the second half, I think Dame wanted to get himself established a little bit more, which, again, understandable. But he didn't have it. And, those are just, again, it's just some of the things. And then I look at Chris Middleton, who defensively, there's a lot of questions. There's got to be a lot of questions now when I'm watching Chris and what he brings. And DeMar, again, so you talk about the 3-point from Kobe White puts up 30 points. But DeMar DeRozan, so why at the end of this game in the fourth quarter, I just didn't get it. So, again, and I don't ever think Dr. Griffin is above criticism because he's not. I just think some of the stupidity has to be called out. He's not above criticism, but again, and I said this early on when DeMar, hear it, the less I like it. But DeMar's cooking. He's cooking Chris Middleton, and Chris can't do anything. Chris is playing cone defense. But why is Giannis in the corner on Vucevic instead of in the fourth quarter? And again, I get it. You don't want to play. You don't want Giannis on DeMar the whole game. You don't want him to rack. I understand that. 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes going to fourth quarter. I want my best defender on him. He made a couple stops. Giannis made a couple stops in overtime when he got switched on to DeMar. And again, I thought he looked fine and really good defense and presented some new challenges. I think when you talk about mixing up those coverages and those looks, sometimes it's the assignments. You just cannot put Chris on a guy that has the offensive capabilities of an elite high-level wing in the NBA. He is cooked. He cannot do it. And I think, again, we continue to see it night after night after night. I will say, though, Chris played, I believe, 32 minutes. I think it's the first time he went over 30 minutes. So good for him. My other question, where's Andre Jackson Jr.? I don't know. Marjon Beauchamp was in. So, again, just a lot of questions defensively. I think and I'm getting more and more to the point where the answer is just not on the roster. I don't think the answer is on the roster right now. And I know we're missing Jay Crowder. I just don't think the answer is on the roster.
Well, look, and you're right about this, and I think, and Chris, I'm gonna let you weigh on this too. But yeah, there was for a lot tonight. It was the more he touches it, the more he makes it. It's ridiculous. It makes absolutely no sense. And having said that, yes, Chris's defensive struggles. This is not just a game or two where you're like, okay, he doesn't look good. He's got to get back in shape. No, I know, guys. I think them skills are diminished, right? If not gone. Like you said, a skill. I think them ankles are probably too tight. Them hips are stiff. We're not sliding feet here, and I think it's. That mobility just does not, that mobility and flexibility that I think he had a little bit earlier, I think the injuries have eaten it up. Yes, Jay Crowder is on the roster, and Jay Crowder will be back. And keep in mind, in late situations, you have to imagine that Jay Crowder draws that matchup on a guy like DeMar DeRozan. You 100% would have to imagine that, like, he's gonna draw that matchup. But yeah, credit to Dr. Griffin. No, it was a late adjustment. Having Giannis come in and kind of disrupt some of those looks for DeMar, right? Because that completely changes his approach. When you got Giannis on, you're like, wait, hold on, right? Because that's not a cone. And, that's a guy who can
do that much earlier. This game should not go to overtime. You got to make those adjustments earlier.
I can't
have in the last possession of the game, Giannis staying. So the Chicago Bulls were absolutely able to take your best defender out of the entire play because he's standing in the corner guarding a guy who's not even touching the basketball. Oh, wow.
True. I can't disagree with that. And again, like Chris said, the perimeter defense is suspect at this point. It is. There's no question about that. And you play a much better team than the Bulls, you might be in trouble. This one goes a different direction if you do what you did tonight against a much better team. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I think also with the Chris thing, like, look, we were able to get Drew out of here when he was going up in age, and you didn't get much younger with Dame. So I think if you do end up thinking about moving Middleton and getting away from him, you got to get younger, man. At some point, this Bucks roster has to have a young piece that attracts Giannis for the future. I know he's locked up now, but even still, like the guy's not old. He's 28 now at this point, right? 28, Giannis.
He's 28. He actually had his 29th birthday in Las Vegas.
So freshly 29. If you're gonna move Chris, look, this has been looming for a couple of years now that Chris is eventually gonna be older, and you're gonna have to get a younger piece to attract Giannis to stay a Milwaukee Buck for the rest of his career. And I think there's no better time than maybe you play this season out with him, but I think, Chris, with what I've seen so far in terms of mobility, in terms of him being fresh, I just don't see it anymore.
So I'm gonna stick you for a second on this. I'm gonna stay on this for a second. You got Bucks fans that are nostalgic. 2021 doesn't matter. Don't touch Bobby. Don't touch Chris. I don't care if we need to get better at those positions. Don't do it, right? And so the issue, and Trey's made this point a ton of times. Chris at his best is better than anything you're going to get. Sure. But the question you got to ask yourself is, what does Chris at his best look like now? Because I don't think it looks like 2021. It wholeheartedly doesn't. Mm-hmm. And so the question then you say is, all right, well, what is his role? Because remember, for the longest time, Chris was a get-a-bucket guy on this team. That's what he did. Look, I'm going to get out here, I'm going to get a bucket, and I'm going to play average, maybe above average defense sometimes, right? I'm going to pass, but I'm going to get a bucket guy. So at this point, if he goes from not the get-a-bucket guy anymore to maybe spot-up shooter, right? Can we upgrade in that position? And who do we look? What are we willing to give up? These are questions that I think Bucks fans have to have, although they're sensitive about, don't touch my 2021 core because of the nostalgia.
Again, I agree to an extent. Again, and it's not even to me just the Chris at his best. I think Chris, again, so if you're telling me Chris is not at his best, then the question, to your point, where we're asking is, who can you even get for him? I think, and I think, again, I think in some ways it's just a point. It's not going to happen this year. Yeah. I don't think you can. I just don't think you can infuse. So you 20 games in with Giannis, Chris, and Dame, and it hadn't looked the best so far. That has not all the way worked out. To then take your, I don't know, quote unquote third, fourth best player, and now take him out and try to bring somebody in and infuse another player into that big three or whatever have you. I don't know that's going to work either. And again, you talk about it, the difference in 2021 with Chris at his best was Chris was your number two for all intents and purposes. And again, he had a 40-point finals game. Like, no, that Chris is no longer here. But what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to have a guy, Agent Zero, who is supposed to be, this guy who is a superstar. He has not played like that at times. Mm-hmm. Now, again, he's had some clutch moments. He absolutely has. But he has been clunky, and tonight was another example of that. So, yes, some of the pressure should be relieved from a guy like Chris Middleton, who should really be able to get back into that three spot. And again, if you're number three, let me just point this out. I still think Chris can get you he can get you close to 20 points a night. Now, I played 32 minutes a night. 13 and 13 is 6. I'll give you a number 3. So, a Tobias Harris, who is the number 3 for Philadelphia, I don't know what he's averaging. He's probably not giving you 13, and 6. So, for number 3 guy, like that's my thing is your number 3 and Chris Middleton gave you 13 points, and I got Damian Lillard who gave me 14 tonight. Like, Chris Middleton had a better night than Damian Lillard. That's what can't happen. So we're talking about Chris in these different ways. The New York Giants do defeat the Green Bay Packers 24-22. DeVito marched them down the field and got a field goal. So the Packers dropped to 6 and 7. But
that's huge.
Yeah, that is huge. But I guess that's my thing is Dame's game has to be so. I need 26, 27 a night from Damian Lillard. I need my 30 from Giannis. And then the 15 or so from Chris, the 15 and 10 boards and 7 assists, that don't look for a number 3. That ain't bad. I'll say this to you though, JT.
Hang on. We about to clash for a second, but go ahead. We about to clash for a second.
We can. For a number 3 guy fit on it with a team that has 2 legitimate superstar players that are playing like it, 30 and 30 and 60 from them. If you're telling me most number 3s, you're not getting that from your third best player. You're just not. Name the number threes on championship level team. Who? Bradley Beal? That's the best guy, and he ain't played half the year like that. But I'm just saying that's what I'm saying. Out of a number 3 guy on a championship level team, Chris Middleton still might be one of the best ones, even at what he's doing right now.
Now here's where we about to clash.
Go ahead.
Is Chris Middleton your number 3?
Oh, no,
Because he absolutely is not. He absolutely is not. Not this year. Not this year. No, sir. Your number 3 is Malik Beasley. Now, y'all may not like that. Okay, how's he not? How's he not?
No. From a playmaker perspective, no. Yes, Malik Beasley shoots the ball very well.
From a reliability perspective. At this
Malik
point,
Beasley's just as bad. Malik Beasley's just as bad defensively as Chris Middleton. He's stuck it up, but he shot the ball better. But that's what I'm saying.
I agree that he's just. You know what? He's not just as bad because at least he can move. At least he can make some play. Chris is cooked defensively. I
think Malik Beasley's cooked defensively.
I know Malik Beasley just never had it, right? I think the problem with Chris is that Chris's skills are diminished to the point.
Well, that's
so the expectation was never there.
But I didn't have high expectations of Chris Middleton defensively this year anyway. Yeah, I knew he was.
You didn't know it was this bad. You didn't know it was this bad.
No, you're right. I did not know it was this bad. But nevertheless, they're both on the same level defensively. They're both trash.
I would argue Malik Beasley plays his role much better than Chris Middleton does this year. That's all I'm saying. What's Malik Beasley's role? Get a bucket. What's Malik Beasley do?
But it's fine. But again, let me ask you: if somebody had 13, and 6, and another guy has 19, 4 boards and 2, like Chris Middleton, even tonight, Chris Middleton was responsible for more points. He is a better playmaker than Malik Beasley. Is he not?
You need to stop playing with me, man. Because okay,
he's not a better playmaker.
Malik Beasley. Listen, I'm not talking about totality of career. Hold on, Malik Beasley had like 3 straight games with double-digit rebounds. Stop playing with me. We're not gonna do this, man.
Has he had a 6-assist game yet? Chris has had multiple of those.
I mean, that's nice, right? But I guess. But what I'm going to argue is that right now, based off of what we've seen at this point in the season, there's an argument that Malik Beasley is your number 3 option. Now, I'm sorry, I'm not even going to say your number 3 option because you could argue maybe Brooke, maybe whatever. I'm going to say that Malik Beasley is an option over Chris at this point in the season. That's the argument that I'm going to stick with. I'm 100% going to take that.
When you say option at what? Shooting a spot up jumper or giving him the ball and creating? How many times, let me ask you this. How many times have you seen Malik Beasley create something that wasn't set up for him? Yes, he has shot the ball. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. He has shot the ball much better than Chris Middleton tonight. He shot the ball better than basically everybody on the team. If you want to go that far, Malik Beasley shot the ball better than Damian Lillard this season. If we doing that. But as far as a legit, just a play, don't look at the numbers. Malik Beasley has probably better from 2. I know he's better from 3 because Damian Lillard is shooting below league average from 3-point. So Malik Beasley has shot the ball better than every starter the Bucks have outside of Giannis from 2. My question is, what I'm saying is, as a playmaker, no, that's what. Yeah. So if you hold there, I hold you there. No, Chris Middleton is still a better playmaker. So that's my question is, what do you mean by option? When you say option, I'm
going to argue, right? If I'm going to come down the court, right? Because we're going to do this. If I'm going to come down the court,
we can't.
And if I'm going to come down the court and I'm going to run a play or I'm going to create for someone, I'm going to Malik Beasley over Chris Middleton this season. I 100% am. I 100%.
Not creating off the dribble.
No, y'all not doing that. No, y'all tripping right now.
Get somebody an open shot.
But you can run something for Malik Beasley, but when you need to create off the dribble, look, you're going to Chris Middleton 10 times out of 10 if those are your 2 options.
Listen. Who is more reliable this year? Who is more reliable? Because I get it, right? Right? And the difference, the edge I'll get to Malik Beasley is he don't turn the damn ball over
because nobody gives him the ball to do it. He's not gonna get to dribble up the court. I'll agree with you, yes. But Chris Middleton handles the ball. I mean, if you look at the usage rate, I don't even know what it is. Chris Middleton has to handle the ball 10 times more than Malik Beasley. He can't do it at all. Now again, I agree. Chris Middleton's usage rate needs to go down, handle the ball because he has not been good at it at certain times. But no, when you say option, that's just when I hear option, I hear, can I give you the ball and back down, give me a jumper, give me a mid range. No, I'm not. Malik Beasley's not doing that.
It's just two different roles to compare, right? I mean, you just
Right.
have Malik Beasley, who's not asked to do as much in the minutes that he plays. He just has to shoot the ball and make it, and maybe play a little bit of defense here and there. But when you talk about Chris Middleton, look, on the minutes restriction, also asked to carry his own load, it's harder for him to live up to those expectations. So yeah, and earlier I said maybe move him. I'm rethinking about that. I don't think you at least touch him this year. I think you give them time to try to gel it between the big three, but definitely got to give his usage a little bit less. So yeah.
So you don't move him this year, you move him next.
Oh, it's definitely a conversation. It's definitely a conversation. If the Bucks don't win a championship, that's definitely on the table, as for what you're looking at for next year. I would agree with that. But no, this year you're set. You can't do anything with Chris Middleton. The guy you said you want to look at is potentially Bobby Portis.
You about to get Bucks Twitter in a frenzy when you're talking about moving Bobby Portis.
Again, the better he plays, the better he is for trade value. And again, as I always tell people, people are always talking, we need better defenders. We need. Well, what you think you're gonna give up your trash and somebody's gonna give you somebody good? That's not how it works. Now again, I have come around actually a little bit differently on. I've come around a little bit now on what we need to do, and I would be okay keeping Bobby, because I do think there are guys on the margins that, if you're willing, that I was talking to a Knicks fan the other day, and they were saying they would take Marjan for Quentin Grimes right now. And I would do that. I would do Marjan in a second for Quentin Grimes, put Grimes in the starting lineup and bring Beasley off the bench. I would do that in a heartbeat, and have that going if I was Milwaukee Bucks.
That would be wonderful. Is Grimes? I don't. Is he rumored to be on the block?
Well. So he came out upset that he got. Well, he got moved out of the starting lineup for the Knicks with Tom Thibodeau, and then he had some comments about Thibodeau in the media. So again, it's brewing. But apparently, since he's gone to the bench, he's played much better. But again, he's a very good defender, and I think he would absolutely help the Bucks. Like I said, especially until Jay Crowder gets back. Reading some of the comments, official 414 says games are going to be ugly until we get some depth. Gimme _A_Bucks says we winning. Don't gotta be pretty. 14 Coco Chicks
been saying
says,
that.
Yep, not impressed. They will win games, but unfortunately not in the playoffs. Every game is a struggle, and championships aren't made like that. And Drew Behringer says, frustrating game, but it's December the 11th. They're going to sleepwalk through some games, encouraging to overcome a terrible Dame game and still win regardless of opposition. I do want to ask you, before we get to the supporting cast, I want to stand pat and sit on this Damian Lillard thing. What is the issue? And again, so somebody in the comments clearly about says, what was the Bobby and coach drama? So I'll move some of that in too. So if you didn't hear, if you've been under a rock, while the Bucks were in Vegas, there was Chris Haynes had an article after the Bucks lost to the Indiana Pacers, where Bobby Portis went into the locker room. I believe the way that it was stated was that Dr. Griffin came into the locker room and started talking to the guys about rebounding. And Bobby Portis got upset and started talking about how the offense needed more direction down the stretch of games, et cetera, et cetera. And then there was talk about, there was a possession where Chris Middleton turned the ball over, where he just threw it out. He was trying to get the ball back to Dame, but it looked like Dame could have got the ball on the inbounds, but I guess there wasn't a play called at that point. Something to that effect happened. So leaning off of all of that, the article, and at first, I think a lot of people, myself included, thought that Dame leaked some of that information. I've been told that was not what actually happened. I think it was more so the setup in Vegas, related to the locker rooms, and I guess there's a different kind of setup that went on, and the media was kind of closer to the Bucks locker room than they would normally be in a home and away, in one of these, actual arenas, because there were multiple teams playing that night. So they were just closer and heard some of the confrontation that went on. That's a story that's come out outside of the league. But going through again all of that and articles that are surrounding that and people, what is the issue with Damian Lillard? Because again, he gets outplayed by Tyrese Halliburton in Indiana. In Vegas against the Indiana Pacers. They get beat down the stretch there. And then tonight, I mean, I don't have words. I believe they said Damian Lillard shot under 20% or something like that. I think he had one game last year all of last year where he shot this kind of poorly. He's had 3 games before Christmas where he shot this kind of bad. Is it a? I mean, what do you see as being the issue? Is it Damian Lillard? Is it that he's trying to share the ball too much? Is it the play style? The buck? Like, who's to blame for why Damian Lillard at times looks so inept?
JT.
For anybody.
So
Yeah, I got you. I think, look, it is tough to get used to a new team, and going from being the guy in Portland and taking all the shots and being used so much, and then to, quite frankly, have to defer to a guy like Giannis, who has just been head and shoulders over Dame this year. I think there's no doubt about it. Giannis said Dame it's his team now. That was just, he was just buffing up his superstar. So I think it's a little bit of just getting used to a new play style, a little bit of having to defer to somebody who's actually better than a CJ McCollum and better than an Anthony Simons and better than a LaMarcus Aldridge. So I think that's all new for him. Look, the shooting woes have been concerning. I don't understand why he's out here shooting tour dates with pretty decent looks. But so far I've also seen just not a really confident shooter in a guy who has normally been able to knock down open shots, and he's passing up sometimes good looks for bad looks, and pump faking and taking contested threes instead of just shooting the open ones. And maybe he's not used to being a catch and shoot guy as much as he is right now, with how the Bucks have been able to free him up. But yeah, I mean, hopefully that fixes itself just by being out there with the guys.
Yeah, I mean, and the numbers. I mean, this is pretty well documented. This is one of his lowest from the field. What was he shooting? One of his lowest percentages you've seen in the last 5 years, right? 46, 45, 40 in 2022. Shot 46 last year, shooting 40 this year. I think my thing is, and I agree 100% with what Chris said, I think we did underestimate the adjustment that Dame would have to make, right? Because now you're not running the Bel Air Academy offense in Portland anymore. You're just not, right? You have so many different options, a much more talented team, but then you also have a first-year coach. And the thing about Dr. Griffin is what you can't do, you can be smart, you can be talented, you can know ball, but what you can't make up for is experience. And I'm just, my thought process is that Dr. Griffin, being inexperienced, has not figured out when to step in, when to let the guys do their thing, and he seems to be a step slow. Now, he will make adjustments, and he's got that creativity and flexibility, which you 100% need, right? But it seems to me like maybe, we need more reps. We need a little bit more so he knows, hey, this is what we need to do here, when to take charge, when to leave it in the players' hands, when to not disrupt what's working and what's not. And I think that's part of it too. You have two very key components that are new and that have really never been in this position before. And quite honestly, the growing pains, I think, are probably going to continue, probably at least for the near future.
Seth Wolf says, not at all calling for the firing of a head coach, but there's really no sign of life or improvement defensively. What now? Good record because we have great offensive players. But this coach was supposed to deliver defense that Bud couldn't. Still early, but you would think by now you would see something. And to that point, Seth, the only thing I say is when you say the coach was supposed to deliver defense that Bud couldn't, they have two completely different teams. So, when Dr. Griffin was hired, he was hired, and we talked about before the original picture that he took with half those guys that were standing around him are no longer there. So he was hired with, the iteration of the Bucks that was the Drew Holiday, a defensive charged team. That is no longer there. They traded that away for the offense. And again, you've got to outscore people. There's no doubt about that. I just think, they lack the personnel. And again, maybe to your point, JT, maybe you thought Chris had a little more in the tank that he defensively that he no longer has. I just think the effort has to be, has to be a little higher. I think you saw tonight when Bobby was in the game, they were blitzing, and I thought they did some good things. It just seems like this basketball team, for the most part, they just can't string together. At one point, they got up 14 points, but they don't seem to, when another team goes on a run, figure out a way to stop it altogether and then extend their run again. Again, they did enough for the win tonight, and again, I feel like there's a lot to say for having a Dame Lillard play like this and still finding a way to win a basketball game, and giving up 41 points to DeMar DeRozan. But it seems like no matter who the opponent is, like and I don't know if they're just playing down or playing up or whatever. So no matter who the opponent is, somebody's gonna get buckets. You're giving up buckets, and then you're gonna have to play hard at the end throughout the end of games. And again, your offense, like you say, JT, what's the best defense?
Another made 3-pointer.
There you go.
That's what you need, right? Listen, I'll take another made 3-pointer over a steal any day. It's just how it works.
Yeah. So I think again, that's kind of the stuff that I'm looking for. And again, you got to get Jay Crowder back, and I do think there's a move that's going to be made. It's early. It's still early. We're 20-some games in. What you got?
So one thing I will say, though, and I think this is a legitimate concern. We are Bucks fans. This team is very good. There's no question about this being a very good team. The question you got to ask, though, is with all of this, and I think the average Bucks fan looks at this as, can we win a championship playing like this? That's the question that everybody's asking, because I want to be clear here on that. It comes off as critical, or we're complaining, and people are like, look, y'all won. Who cares? Yeah, I get that. But I think just because Bucks fans want another ring, the question that we're always asking is this championship ball? Is this sustainable? Here's the other thing, though. There are a lot. Look, our perimeter has a hole in it. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. My concern, though, is, look, we have a number of below average defenders on this team. And that is just, I mean, again, I'm not even saying average, I'm not even saying great.
Yeah.
But you go down the list, and there are a number of below average defenders. That may be a problem at some point. So I agree. You've got to make some moves on this roster because, yeah, we got boys that can sling it. And, I don't really care about defense. We'll take threes all night. But, man, but below average defenders is a problem.
What do you mean by that,
whatever you say, dog?
Just pause it, man. Who's gonna hit the pause? Who's gonna hit the pause?
I mean, they swing it. Yeah, no, but yeah. So getting, like I said, into that supporting cast role. Yeah, you just have to make a move. And again, nights like tonight show it. When you get down the stretch, that's when you want to see these Bucks, play well. And I thought there were some plays that got made down the stretch that were good. You saw the Brook Lopez block. I think that was in overtime. I thought the officiating was kind of rough down the stretch. You saw Giannis hit his free throws, which was good. But it's a work in progress, and when you need the stops, sometimes again they come at times. I think Giannis had a strip at one point. But then you mix it in with the turnovers from a Chris Middleton at times. Then Dame is turning the ball over. At the end of basketball games, this team has got to be at optimal levels. And against Indiana and against Chicago tonight, they were not. That to me is the difference. And I've talked about it before. You don't have to play lights out stellar defense throughout a basketball game. You do not. You have to play good enough to get yourself to the end. But then with 5-6 minutes to go, you've got it. You've got to pick it up. And again, I don't think it was lack of effort tonight. I just think, man, like I said, Chris is cooked. But you got to figure out a way to get those stops at the end of basketball games. And I think for the most part, they had done that for a good amount of games. And tonight, it just didn't happen as much. And then you couple it with Damian Lillard playing like he was, like I said, he wasn't good.
And to be fair to the Bucks, the reason why I think this thing even got to overtime is because they missed 3 out of the 6 free throws in like the last 2 minutes too. So you shut the door if and granted this team shot 81% from the 3-throw line, so I'm not going to knock it too much, but you did miss a few key.
You got to hit them late. You got to hit them when it matters.
Key free throws, and because that happens, overtime doesn't happen if they make those. Even if they make 2 of those, overtime doesn't happen.
Green Ranger says, I think losing Terry Stotts really hurt Dame's comfort with this offense. Maybe it did. I don't, but again, Terry Stotts was on the roster, on the coaching staff before Damian Lillard got here as well. I thought it was whack on Terry Stotts' part for leaving. This is, my personal opinion. It was kind of his fault. He should have stuck it out with a young head coach, and but that's neither here nor there. Gabe Hutton says JT suspect. Okay.
Come on, man.
Hey, man. Yeah.
Said the boys out there slinging it.
Gabe,
I don't blame him.
Bucks win at 133.
Y'all ain't gonna pause me.
129 over the Chicago Bulls. Speaking of, since we slinging, let's go some game balls.
Oh man.
Let's do that.
Look, we're going full on 8th grade humor. The show is off the rails at this point.
Chris, who you giving our game ball? Your game ball tonight? Who's it going to?
Yeah, it's very easily Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think Giannis just night in, night out just imposes his will on weaker centers and weaker bigs. I think you saw that tonight. I mean, when they went out when he went out in the start of the fourth quarter, look, the Bulls ended up roaring back and coming back into this game. So I think Giannis just continues to dominate, and when he's out of the game, it shows that you need him in the game, and that's why we've been able to win some close ones with some bad teams, is because Giannis is just way better than everybody. So I think that's who I'm going to give my game ball to. 32, 12, and 6 Giannis.
JT.
Well, look, we can all give the game ball to Giannis, right? But I mean, that's what you would expect the national media to do. We'll look down the rest of the roster. It looks like I'm gonna give Giannis.
My bad.
No. I'm just saying. I'm saying you expect national media to give all the panelists to give
the bullet,
Giannis.
Right? I was gonna go with your boy Malik Beasley, but listen,
that's who I'm giving my game ball to. I'm giving it to Malik Beasley, right? Larsa's second in the industry at this point, right? Because the post-future breakup, but I'm giving it to Malik Beasley, right? I thought he made some big shots, played well, stepped up on a night when Dame was really struggling. 5 for 8 from 3, had some big threes there, and just I thought made plays. So I'm 100% going to give it to Malik Beasley. Finished tonight with 19-4, 19-4-2. So no Trey, he didn't hit his 6 assists. And yeah, that's if I had more game balls to give, I'd give it to quote unquote the supporting cast and loop in Brooke, loop in Derek Bird, loop in the other guys, Bobby, people who stepped up. But
Derek Bird has some real good minutes, man. Shout out to Ball. That's what we. I think you asked a couple shows ago. What is his role? What do you expect him to do? Listen, when you see him on the floor, you see people like that on the floor, and you know what they should be doing. Shoot the ball. Anybody look like shoot? You better shoot that basketball. That's all I'm saying. Shoot the ball.
He looked
and that's what I expect him to do. And shoot the ball. And
I just need him to play YMCA ball. Hey, bro, Scott up right. 3-point line to 3-point line. You are the guy at the YMCA.
Right. I don't make exceptions about people, but when I see certain people at the NBA floor, I got a sneaky feeling I know what you do. And AJ Green, when I see him on the floor, I got a sneaky feeling he can shoot the basketball. So that's what I want to see him do, and he shoots it well. And I thought he's an undrafted player, but he was not playing up to his level. And again, he can shoot the lights out of the basketball. I'm not saying he what he can be, what he can end up being as an NBA player, but as an undrafted guy, could he? And his peak ceiling is like a Kyle Korver. He shoots the lights out of the ball. Shoot the ball. Try hard on defense. And you will find minutes 100%. Like he's just a spot up shooter, man. He absolutely shoots the right side of the ball. I like it tonight. He did shoot the ball. He does not get my game ball though. 13 minutes. He did have 12 points and 5 rebounds and 3. He had 3 assists. So he had more assists than Malik Beasley. But playmaking. But I'm gonna give my game ball obviously to Giannis Antetokounmpo.
That's creative. Oh, okay, that's yeah. Again, 10 out of 10 of creativity there, sir.
Well, JT. To be fair, you named everybody else on the roster.
At least that took effort.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think is that it really can. And if the game had gone the way I thought it was gonna go, where the ball kept sharing throughout the night and everything. It just so happened that Giannis was the entire team down the stretch of this basketball game. He made all the plays, made the hustle plays, made the effort plays, rebounding again tonight. Chicago had 51. I thought on the glass, I thought the Bucks were really solid, and again, 12 rebounds from Giannis were a big part of it. They needed every single one of them. I thought in the first half as well. Just rebounding the basketball looked like it was an emphasis for the Bucks. They did that well, and I thought again, Giannis just in a game where because I have so many. Did you guys know how many like just straight up Dame Lillard accounts are like Dame Stan accounts? Did y'all know about this? Like Damian Lillard has like Stan accounts on Twitter that are like they just like worship Damian Lillard, and so everything is Giannis's fault, and everything's everybody's fault but Dame. And so then they like, and they used to be like Portland fans, but it's kind of like it's kind of like LeBron. I didn't know I mean, I knew he was good. I didn't know he had this type of like massive following where like people who were Portland fans now follow Dame to the Bucks and are like blaming everything on everybody else because Damian Lillard's been stinking it up. So in a night where Damian Lillard was playing like he played, Giannis had to close us out down the stretch. We brought Damian Lillard in to close, and Giannis had to take on that role. So that's why he gets my game ball tonight.
You know what? Sometimes you got Batman and Superman. Sometimes Superman can't find the phone booth, man. He looked real Clark Kent tonight. That's okay. That's okay. We good with that. Lois Lane might solve that problem. I don't know. Might help.
What?
I don't know. Right? I'm trying to remember my Superman, right? Lois Lane was like the woman he was dating. That was like the little reporter or whatever that he was kind of dating. I don't know. We need Lois Lane, man. We need Batman. We need Robin. If you can't be Superman, can you be Robin? Not tonight.
Green Ranger says playing Dame, Beasley, and Chris together is not sustainable, especially when you sprinkle in some minutes with Bobby. And Gabe Hutton gives Vucevic because the game ball because he sucks at defense so bad. Let me find a couple more comments.
This Gabe Hutton guy's kind of funny. Gabe Hutton's hilarious. You got jokes.
To your point, some people, Marvin Lee says it's time to move past the nostalgia appreciation stage for Chris and trade him while he still has value. Bobby too.
Thank you, Marvin. We're watching the same thing. Marvin.
To crack the starting lineup, and with that contract size, we're better off flipping him for a small ball 4 or for a player who can close for us.
DeLon Wright.
Go ahead and tell us that DeLon Wright. What would you like for a trade idea?
Okay, so I saw this on Twitter earlier, and I've been high on Daniel Gafford for a long time. I think he provides a if we do need a backup big eventually, and he's only 25 years old. I think Daniel Gafford would be huge to come off the bench and give you good minutes and give you a different look out there. You know, Brook is a stretch 5, but if you have a 4-5 hybrid who's just a back to the basket guy who can literally block 2.5 shots per game or whatever he's averaging right now, you have a guy who can catch lobs in the dunker spot. I feel like he'd be huge, but the way it works out is you can also grab DeLon Wright from the Wizards. Look, what Eastern Conference team is going to be willing to help a contender? It would be the Wizards. Outside everybody else, everybody's still trying to at least make the playoffs. I don't know if that's where the Wizards are right now, and the Pistons too. But it would be Pat Connaughton. It would be the second round pick we just got from Portland, and it'd be Bobby Portis for those two guys. DeLon Wright, pretty good defender at 6'5". We're having trouble guarding other teams' point guards, and you get Gafford, a young guy who can really give you good minutes off the bench when it comes to maybe playoff time. And Brook, if he ever gets hurt or anything, barring an injury, then you got a guy for the future as well that can play next to Giannis at the 5.
I'm not mad at it. I think there's some space there. And again, if you move on from Bobby again, you have to infuse some. You'd have to have a big to kind of also take off on that role. And then that's the thing. You'd be moving because Bobby also scores the ball. You have to move. To me, you'd have to be moving Malik to the bench so that you can keep that scoring off the bench as well. I'm not mad at it.
So I want to stay on this for a second, right? Because I want to ask this question because we were talking about Marcus Smart, and I like the fact that you mentioned some alternatives, something else we can do to make this thing work, right? So let's say we target DeLon Wright, right? And we target and what'd you say that compensation would be? Like it wouldn't be too much, right? It would be.
I mean, Gafford's making 12, and DeLon Wright has to be below that.
So you target DeLon Wright, right? So let's say you target Gafford, and we get Gafford as another backup big. We could also, I think, like we talked about before, we could monitor the buyout market and see what happens with PJ Tucker. Maybe you bring him back in, right? And now all of a sudden you have a completely different look if you get PJ Tucker and Crowder and folks come back. Now the perimeter defense looks a little different. Plus PJ he could probably guard the 1 to 4.
He can guard 2 to 5.
Early,
I done seen PJ get on 7-footers, man. PJ serious. Again, I don't know what else he has left in the tank, but
right. That's why I'm like.
But again, it can't be no worse. Can't be no worse than what I've seen from Chris Middleton. Can't be no worse than what I've seen from Pat Connaughton. Can't be worse than what I've seen defensive from guys like Malik Beasley. So I mean, I think he has better defensive skills than that. And again, it's just sometimes just effort, and it's that I'm going to outwork you. And again, at the very least, I got 6 fouls I can give you. And yeah, man, I'm gonna use them up. Couple last comments. John Connor. What is this? At Carl McPherson says AG ain't it. And at the kid 0304 says new wing defender pretty badly at this point. Team struggles to stay in front of anyone. At A_Richardson says, do you hate Chris Middleton? No, I don't hate Chris Middleton. I don't hate Chris Middleton at all. I think I like Chris. It's just, we're gonna call it like it is. He's had some deficiencies. He's got to play. He's got to play better. That's all. Mm-hmm. I recognize there's some injury history going on, but you got to play better.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, listen. I mean, right again, you just play, and I just don't want to see a guy like Chris Middleton, who's been so good, be relegated to a guy who literally plays hope defense, where you just got to hope it doesn't go in when the other guy shoots it, right? Like because there just really isn't much that he can do, and that's just kind of what it is. I hope he misses. I mean, it's just no. I don't want to see that happen. I want to see this team win another championship, and so my thing is, how exactly do we do that? Do we maximize this window? And how do we get better? And I challenge Bucks fans to think about that. How does this team get better? Because we can talk X's and O's all day, but at the end of the day, personnel is going to be very, very important.
100%. Bucks winning. Let's take a look around sports. 133-129. Bucks are winners. They've improved to 16-7. And again, before we get to our final loss on the Bucks, that's what I'll say about this basketball team. All the talk, all the problems, you can talk about that schedule, and we have the 27th worst schedule. 16-7. You are right now as it stands, you are 1 game out of first place in the Eastern Conference. If you told me on December the 11th, the Milwaukee Bucks would be 1 game out of first place in the East, I would take it 10 out of 10 times. So I'm okay with it. Kings 105-90 right now in the fourth quarter over the Brooklyn Nets. Clippers and Blazers are doing battle, close game. The 76ers blew out the Wizards tonight, 146-101. Orlando beats Cleveland 104-94. The Pacers beat the Pistons. I believe that's 20 straight losses for the Detroit Pistons, who are 2-21. Shout out Monty Williams. Shout out to Monty Williams. Hey, making that money. That man is stealing out there in Detroit.
And you know what? I bet he's talking about, process. It's going to take time. You got to think, right? When you've lost 20 straight games, you've already got some of your go-to sayings at that point for why things look so abysmal at this point. And how many games do you have to where you can say these uplifting things and people stop listening, right? Is it 35 games in? It was like, listen, we lost 30 straight games. It's saying, like, how many games? But then the wild part is that dude is paid $13 million a season to do this, stealing money. He's stealing money, and he's gonna fleece them for what? How much? If he's paid 13 a season, and he has a 6-year contract. How long do you think before the Detroit Pistons break up with that man?
I don't know. You got to at least 3. Because then what does firing him do? Nothing. It doesn't do anything.
I agree.
I agree.
That's
what I'm saying. So
Jaden Ivey coming off the bench. Like, what are we doing?
I don't know.
Why is he getting less than 30 minutes a game? Like, it's weird to me. Monty, I don't know. He's got his head up as you know what.
Yep. Listen, I don't get it, but I believe congrats.
Who are they tanking for? Who's the number 1 pick? I don't know.
I have no. You would know better than I do.
Yeah, it's not Victor. Not Victor this year.
But yeah, congrats to the Pistons. I believe they lost every game in the month of November.
Good.
Miami Heat. Very hard to do. Miami Heat, 116-114 over Charlotte Hornets. The Knicks beat the Raptors. The Nuggets hold on to beat the Atlanta Hawks. The Oklahoma City Thunder 134-120. Pels beat the Timberwolves. A lot of talk. Stephen A. Smith been calling Zion fat. Did you hear Stephen A. when he said the chefs in New Orleans are looking for Zion? They said they looking for him because he eats the table.
Hey, but that's up there with what Ryan Clark said about Tua, man. That's up
But
there
no,
with what
this
Ryan
is
Clark
true.
said about
But
Tua.
this is true.
Does he say sources told him the chefs are looking for Zion?
Yes, he said chefs are looking for Zion in New Orleans because he's gonna be in the restaurant.
That's messed up,
right.
man. That's messed up. I mean, listen, right? Look, hey, you ever eat? Listen,
You want me to tell you what's messed up?
I don't
How
think
much? We just said Monty Williams was stealing money. Zion was supposed to be a savior down in New Orleans, and he's missed more games than he's played. He's talking about stealing money, and you're supposed to inject hope in that entire organization and that city. That's stealing money. Come on, Zion, get your stuff together.
I think he's still like a little kid, man. Like even the interviews he does. Oh yeah, big kid. Gumbo jumbo kid. Look, so I think Zion still hasn't matured. Like you saw that interview when they asked him and Brandon Ingram what they're gonna do with their money if they won the in-season tournament, and he's like, he just looks at Brandon Ingram and just laughs like they're gonna go blow it on strippers or something. And it's like, dude,
of course.
you're like. Come on now, you should have better morals than what you're putting out there in the national media right now.
Man, at least he got Mariah. I at least hope he found a way to talk to Mariah Mills on like WhatsApp or something. Something better than because if he's still in streets. But sad story for Zion, and I think everybody's gonna keep saying he has so much talent, he could be okay. Just got to get in shape. Just got to stay away from the food. Just got to make better decisions. But at the end of the day, right? Like
more.
The problem is like the list of different things he needs to do to get is growing, and it's growing and growing, and then like the negatives are growing. Like, yeah, who the hell knew he had immaturity issues, right? Like, who knew that there were all these issues, and then now he's got children, he's got he's got women, he's got some different things, and hopefully he turns this thing around because he is a remarkable talent. There's no question about it, but he's got to get up out of New Orleans, man. The Big Easy ain't for him.
He's like the 5-year-old. Why he get New Orleans? He got to get out of New Orleans. No, he didn't.
He got to get out of New Orleans.
He's like the. There's a lot of cities. I don't think he needs. He needs to be in the Milwaukee. He needs to be in the Sacramento,
Minnesota. Go right on up there with the Timberwolves and celebrate.
Go ahead and straight up swap Anthony Edwards for Zion.
You know who could be on the move?
Oklahoma City, Utah.
Cat could be on the move though.
Well, Minnesota's playing well this year. Yeah, they're playing well this year. They're playing well.
Towns can be on the move.
Yeah, Zion, he reminds me of like the 6-year-old goes out to dinner, and then everybody was ordering on the kids menu, and then the one kid ordering steak. And he's like, man, how you ordering a steak at 6 years old? What parents? But that's him. That's him. And again, he hadn't grown up. The Mavericks beat the Grizzlies 121-13. And Ime Udoka and the Rockets beat the Spurs. Spurs are 3-19. They are chasing the heels of the Detroit Pistons after landing Victor Wembanyama. So that's that. Again, the Green Bay Packers lose on a field goal to the New York Giants, so that's tough on them. The only other thing I want to talk about, I was going to ask you guys about. You saw the play in yesterday in Kansas City. Kadarius Toney lining up offsides. I want to get your thoughts, your opinions. You saw what Patrick Mahomes had to say about it. I feel like we're going to have differing opinions on this, so I'll let you, John or Chris, whoever wants to start. What did you think about the call? What did you think about the reaction? And the Kansas City Chiefs, were they 8-6 now? After they dropped 8-6 after that loss, so it's very wide open in the AFC. Well, maybe not. The Ravens playing well, but again, for Kansas City at least. What did you think about all that?
I need Patrick LeVon Mahomes to suck it up, grow up. Listen, here's the thing, man. So y'all play football. You think about what's the first thing you do when you run out there, right? When you split out wide, you checking with the ref. Am I good? Am I good? You know what I'm saying? Like you're doing that. I don't know if Kadarius did that or not. But he clearly did line up off sides. The reality of it is the right call. And you can see all the stills and everything else. Like, yo, bro, you lined up a yard in front of the ball. What are we doing now? I don't know if he checked. I'm not really sure. Now, it just so happens that was a beautiful, beautiful play from Travis Kelce. He threw that. And the only reason you mad is because it worked. And then you mad about this call. That's the only reason you mad, right? Because it was silly. But when it worked, I was like, oh, this is dope. This is probably one of the best laterals we've seen in recent history in the NFL, because it actually worked, and the pass was backwards instead of forward. But Patrick's in his feelings, but he can play a little better this year too. Hey, let's not act like Patrick Mahomes was like Patrick Mahomes. And here's the way I also feel. I'm telling you how I really feel. The Chiefs deserve this mess. They deserve this mess. You keep running out here with these ragtag groups of wide receivers, and you wonder why you're struggling. Like you had options to get guys that were a clear upgrade over what you got, and you just said, "Oh, I'm gonna stick with Rashae Rice. I'm gonna stick with Sky Moore. I'm gonna stick with, and I'm gonna rely on Travis
Let's
Kelce."
get to Rasheed Rice now.
Rasheed Rice has been good. Come on, JT.
SMU
Listen.
draft pick.
Come
He
on
was
now.
like that in college
Okay.
now, and he's the number one guy now.
He's been balling.
Yeah, all right. Yep, he
He's the
has been.
only actual receiver. I'll give you that, but he's good.
Right. And for a rookie, too, he's been balling. Come on now.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, and he should. Yeah, he 100% would be your one in the middle of a Super Bowl window when you have an aging tight end and you have absolutely zero additional help on the outside. Because I think Rashae Rice is going to be a great player. You know what? He also looks great to me as a number 2 wideout, though. As a number 3 wideout, as a rookie, you can't have you got him being top dog as a rookie. You're so unserious right now about your offense.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. Right now, yes.
440 is hey, and
Chris, they come a dime a dozen.
No,
they come a dime a dozen. Listen,
but he's the only receiver on that team. Okay, this is going down the rabbit hole, but I think he's the only receiver on that team that can actually give them a shot at winning the Super Bowl this year because they're gonna just continue to keep going to him, and he's good.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
And how many games has he played in his career?
It's probably just about as many as the Chiefs have played.
Thank you. Thank you. How many times has he stepped into play? How many elite corners has he gone up against multiple times, seen different looks? And how reliable, if you got 4th in the season, right, or 4th in the game, can you go to Rasheed Rice?
Yeah, well, you got to think.
You're probably going to try to go Kelce.
Most of the catches he's had this year, too, have been like short passes and slants and screen passes that they let him work in the open field. I think he's going to be good down the stretch. But anyway, back to the question. It was, Patrick Mahomes is being a big baby. I mean, what are we doing complaining to Josh Allen about the call, first of all?
It's the worst call I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, like nothing Josh Allen had to say about good game. He just goes up and whines, and then like that was weird to me. And then what he said in the post game presser after was even worse, talking about, oh, that was a Hall of Fame play for Kelce that doesn't get to be a Hall of Fame play now. Okay, yeah, but like, who cares? It was offsides. Like his foot was on the line. It's like Kevin Durant. The shoe's too big. Hey, look, if you didn't want that to happen, tell Kadarius Toney to get back behind the line of scrimmage, and then I won't have a problem with it. Look,
pull your head out your hindquarters, right? Yeah. Pull your head. What Trey say? Pull your head out your John Brown hind parts, right? And figure out where to line up. Exactly. And you know what? And Kadarius kills me because Kadarius got a case of the can't get rights. He has done this all year, just a bunch of boneheaded play, time after time after time again.
Let me. I knew I was gonna disagree with you guys, and I knew this is a take y'all are gonna have. No. So here's the thing. I didn't have a problem with Patrick Mahomes being upset. Like, I don't understand when people are mad that Patrick Mahomes is mad. Patrick Mahomes should be upset. And again, that shows me he's a competitor. He's upset. He's a competitor. One of the greatest of all time.
Like, what are we doing?
He is one of the greatest of all times. And here's the other thing. So I saw the play, John. So number one, Kadarius Toney was not split wide. He had a short split. So he was in the slot. He does point to the ref. The issue Kadarius Toney had was, I think he did it as almost like a reflex. It's like a, muscle memory. I'm just pointing. It was kind of like a point, but I ain't really paying. This is just
because your head's in your butt.
He pointed and he kept moving. The point of pointing is to look down the line and see what the ref tells you to do. He pointed and just kept moving. So that was his problem. Now he lines up off sides, but John Titus, Chris King, do you know how many times, I just do it, in the past 2 seasons combined that offensive offsides has been called? Do you know how many times combined in the past 2 years? Regular season?
How many times?
I give you a guess.
I have no idea.
I'll go with like 12.
13.
13.
In the past 2 years, 13 times have they made that call. Let me ask you, how many times have you seen people line up a step over the line? How many times has that happened? You know what it reminds me of? Tonight in the Bucks game, they called Giannis for a 10-second free throw violation. How many times do Giannis do that throughout the year? All the time. You don't have to call that. That's the problem. Everybody knows. Yes, was he offsides? Everybody knows he was offsides. Nobody's debating whether or not he's offsides, but you don't call that. I don't think you have to call it in that moment. That's my only thing. And again, Giannis, when they called the 10 seconds on him, he went back up to the line, shot the second free throw, and stared down the ref. Like, I dare you to call that again. Don't do that. And again, and I think again, this is what I bet. I bet money if the ref had that play back and he had known what was going to happen, if he had known that Travis Kelce was going to catch that ball, throw it back to Kadarius Toney for a touchdown, you keep the flag in your pocket, you let it go, and you let the players decide how this goes. I'm just saying it's a ticky-tack call. There's rules and there's standards, John Tyus. There's rules and standards. The rule is you got 50 miles an hour. If I'm going 54, should I be ticketed? That's what you're saying.
Listen, in a strict liability offense,
that's what I'm saying.
Yes, you should. In a strict liability offense like speeding, yes, you should be ticketed. Will you get ticketed? Probably not. But here's the thing. It had been called 12 times before Kadarius Toney was called number 13 on Sunday. So are you saying that it shouldn't have been called because it was the Chiefs? Are you saying that Kadarius? Are you saying that you shouldn't have called for the 13th time on the Chiefs?
I'm saying the fourth quarter. I don't care who it is. Fourth quarter, game on the line. No, I'm letting that go. I'm calling all 3 quarters. Calling all day. And here, fourth quarter game on the line. I let that go.
And speaking,
so the guys play.
Does that warrant the reaction of Patrick Mahomes?
No, and speaking of listen. Absolutely. Speaking of calls. I don't know if you guys, I don't know, maybe it's my internet, maybe it's my TV or whatever, but I feel like it's somebody false starting on every drive. On every drive, you're seeing somebody move before the ball on that line. Every single drive.
Left, what do they call it? Left guard? Or
it's wild. Like, I'm literally like, yo, how's that not a false start? Like, I'm watching people move before the ball is snapped on that line every single drive. And it doesn't matter. Pick the game. No, listen, I think Patrick Mahomes had a low moment. And I think that, yes, he is one of the best quarterbacks we have seen in the NFL in the last 30 years. He is a remarkable player. I just think you caught that man in a raw moment. Like, yes, am I mad about this? Am I a bit of a sore loser? Am I a bit? Yes, he was. And it is what it is. I'm not going to judge him too harshly, even though I do think he was being a crybaby about it. And I've had zero sympathy for the Chiefs because, boy, I wonder how much the Chiefs have benefited for blown calls. I'm just saying, like, look,
they didn't benefit against the Packers last week. When you get a DPI, they should have won the game. DPI, don't call.
But you know what? They benefited from blown calls a whole lot in the last 5 years. They'll be just fine. I just can't. I can't feel sorry for you when this is part of the game. You can't be mad when it happens. Well, you can be mad when it happens to you, but you got to understand that's life. That's how this thing works, baby. All the calls can't go your way, even if you are Patrick Mahomes.
Okay. Well, that's what it was. It was an interesting moment. Fun times. Bucks win it 133-129. Hunter Petty says JT stick to hoops. So apparently he disagreed with it.
Not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Got to be the Rasheed Rice situation because
I'm not doing it.
Oh yeah, maybe he was talking about that. Maybe he was talking about the fact that she was hating on Rasheed Rice. Again, Bucks went 133-129. We'll give you guys the final words before we get up out of here.
Again, the gritty with the pretty. You gotta take them up there, stack them with the best. Like you guys said, there's gonna be some lulls. It's gonna get ugly for a little while until we get our full squad. But like Trey says, like Chris says, and everything else, this isn't a finished product yet. And I think you're probably gonna see some changes to this roster. Y'all clowning the dishwasher? Yeah, you gotta make sure the things is clean. You know, it's wild. My dishwasher takes like 4 hours. It's ridiculous. But now that I've lost my train of thought, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. Can we just stop playing the Bulls? Like, maybe that'll be good. Like, how many games do we have left with them? Because look,
I think you're done.
All right, good. Because I'm tired of seeing Kobe White go nuclear. I'm tired of seeing Javon Carter play above his 5 points per game. No, but I mean, yeah, just got to clean it up a little bit. But ultimately, I think this Bucks team will be fine. I say this every show. They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
I don't know what must be going on. Hunter Petty said Chris King, no comment on Scoot. What's happening in that Portland game?
I don't know. That's my see. Look, I don't like Scoot Henderson. I'm not a fan of the G League Ignite, so he must be doing something well.
Yeah, I'm assuming so. For that, he called you a hater as well. Yeah, the Bucks and go ahead.
And speaking of Zion Williamson, I'm assuming he's going somewhere tonight, but he had 36 points, 5 rebounds,
Oh,
13 to 17 from the field. So I mean, he clocked in for work today.
good for him. Good for him. 133, 129 Bucks win. Again, tonight, not the best of nights, as you said it, JT. Take the pretty with the gritty. Um, yeah, there are so many things that have to happen for this basketball team. I don't think it's complete. I think Adrian Griffin's got to be better. He's a work in progress. I think Damian Lillard has got to be more consistent. Right now, the only consistent thing this Milwaukee Bucks basketball team has is Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I think if you're Giannis, you're looking around like, damn, I did not know that I was gonna have to. That I'm still carrying this entire thing on. Again, he's not doing it every night, so maybe I shouldn't say that. But it's got to be better. One thing's for sure: Sparks will fly Wednesday night. Remember, Tyrese Halliburton, after beating the Milwaukee Bucks, tapped his watch. He said it. Basically, he said it was his time. Well, he's gonna have to show that off on Wednesday night because the Indiana Pacers are in Milwaukee Wednesday night. They're gonna have the Bucks gonna have a chance for revenge against the Pacers after losing them. They lost twice now to the Pacers, once in Indiana without Dame. Now Dame is gonna have a chance to get his face back against Halliburton. We'll see if the Bucks have a different type of strategy and approach. I like the way the Lakers played Halliburton. Really didn't let him get off. You hold him 22 and 10. You'll be okay in that. But yeah, the Bucks play the Pacers Wednesday night. Gonna be a fun one. We'll be back for that one, of course. Hunter Petty says he can't wait for that game. Gabe Hutton says Zion's getting gumbo in the club.
Most people buying bottles, Zion eating.
Look, yeah, Scoot has 19. All right, cool. I mean, he averages 9 on the season, and his career high was 22, and that came in a preseason game. So we'll see. Hopefully, you can beat that preseason career high, Scoot.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it keeps going for Scoot Henderson. I still think he gotta get his swag right. Like, I keep looking at him, he's like, he don't got no. I mean, I ain't never seen a guy first number 2 overall pick or whatever it was, and don't have no swag on number 3. Don't have no swag on the court. I don't
say Brandon Miller looks like the better pick though. That's it.
Right now, he absolutely does. Yeah, he absolutely looks like a better pick right now. Any final words before we sign this thing off? What you got, JT, Chris?
I'm looking forward to Wednesday. I mean, normally I would not care at all about a game against the Pacers, but it would be nice to see the Bucks, because the Pacers have got us twice this year, so it would be nice to see the Bucks come out and just swing and not just win on Wednesday. I hope the Bucks win by at least 15. That would be great.
I'd say listening to Lisa again was not fun. So if the Bucks need a play-by-play guy, they know to hit me up.
Hey, well, I did not do it. I listened to Stacey King and the NBC Chicago guys. Anytime I saw Steve Novak on the call, I was like, no, sir, I'm not going to do it. Bucks win it tonight, 133-129. Had a fun one. Like, subscribe, all of that stuff. Follow us on Twitter at CCC Bucks Show. Again, we appreciate everybody tonight for listening in, watching us do our thing at the Cream City Crossover. This was a Cream City Media Group production. Don't take no wooden nickels.